good kings and queens? I'm back. So, today I just kind of wanted to talk a little bit about breastfeeding. I've mentioned in a couple of my other videos that I am breastfeeding my son, who is now 15 months. And yes, it's really been a journey. So this video is dedicated to moms who are pregnant, thinking about breastfeeding, or those who are breastfeeding but are having some difficulties. I just kind of wanted to share my experience. So just a bit of a disclaimer, I am not a lactation consultant. I'm not certified in any way. This is just my own advice and things that I have learned through trial and error. I have successfully breastfed 5 children, all to the age of 1. So when I tell you I have gone through just about everything, I have. With my first 4 daughters, I didn't really have any issues with getting them to latch on. They all latched on very well. However, I suffered physical pain in the breast area because of my lack of knowledge of how to get them to properly latch. So I would have them latching more or less just on the nipple rather than taking in a good mouthful of the areola. So because of that, I suffered sore nipples or red nipples, or I at one point I thought I was going to lose one. So these are just, like I said, a couple of tips that I felt could be beneficial to you guys. So number 1 is stay hydrated. Make sure to drink as much water as you possibly can. Breast milk, I believe, is about 90% water. So if you're not getting enough water in, you're not going to be producing sufficient milk for your baby. Tip number 2 is be careful with supplements. Supplements are good, but they don't work for everybody. So the main thing you want to remember when dealing with supplements is that any and everything that you put into your body goes to your baby. Now, I can't tell you the exact percentage of how much goes to your baby, but there is a percentage of supplements, even foods and over-the-counter medicines and prescription drugs. They all have different percentages, but they all go to the breast milk. Some are greater quantities than other, so you definitely want to check with your primary care physician or OBGYN before ingesting any type of supplements. Prenatal pills are definitely fine, and they're actually recommended when you're nursing, not even just during pregnancy, but when you're nursing, it's still recommended that we continue to take prenatal pills. I would say for at least a year after your baby is born. Some supplements that I have found useful have been fenugreek, red raspberry leaf, mother's milk tea, and Lactiful. Let me tell you guys something about Lactiful. Lactiful is a company that sells supplement that helps to increase your breast milk productivity. Now, it is a combination of several different herbs that have been tested and used for centuries in different parts of the world, in dealing with women's hormone regulation and breast milk production. But like I said before, make sure that you consult with your doctor before taking anything. Third, you want to let your baby nurse as often as you can. Every 1 to 2 hours, you want to let your baby nurse. Remember that breast milk, even though it's the most nutritious and it's better than formula, it's not as heavy as formula. So it does digest through the system very quickly. So you want to let your baby nurse every 1/2 to 2 hours. Okay? Do not pull your baby off. Let me tell you, that's one of the first things that I did. Not pull like snatch, but there's a technique to it. So when you want to unlatch your baby, you want to stick your finger into the far corner of either sides of the mouth and pull away to get your baby to release the hold that they have, and then slide your breast out. When it comes to latching your baby, you want to make sure to kind of dabble the nipple on the bottom or the top lip to get the baby to open their mouth as wide as they can. Once they open their mouth wide as they can, you want to put your breast with the most areola into your baby's mouth, okay? That will take away that pinching feeling that you get when your baby latches on, because breastfeeding shouldn't be uncomfortable and it shouldn't be painful. So if it is, that's definitely a sign that your baby is not latched on correctly. For those of you who are not necessarily breastfeeding, but you want to give your baby breast milk, you want to try to follow the same schedule when it comes to pumping. Make sure to invest in a really good hospital-grade breast pump, electric breast pump. Now, I know that might not be financially possible for a lot of you, but if you can, I would say invest in it. You can also get the job done with some single electric breast pumps like Even Flow from Walmart or Target or whatever stores that you have near you. But the best thing that you can get is a hospital grade pump. And you want to pump, same thing, at least every 2 hours. Now, fun fact, which I learned, you want to make sure to nurse your baby and or pump between the hours of 2 a.m. and 5. Now, I know that's early, but if you have a newborn baby, 9 times out of 10, you're probably already awake anyway. So take advantage of that. What I did was I would breast pump with my son. I would breast pump for about 15 minutes. I had a double pump, so I was doing both breasts at the same time. So I would double pump for about, I would say 10 minutes at the most. I would do about 10 minutes, and then after I would pump, I would try to latch him on. Now, my baby has what's called a webbed tongue, which means his tongue is actually just connected right here at the tip. So he actually was having a difficult time latching, and because of that, I wasn't able to breastfeed him for, I want to say, the first 6 months. So I did end up having to supplement with formula to get him to gain weight, because he actually lost a significant amount of weight. He was born already a month early. So him being born a month early, already weighing 5 pounds, and then he gains a little bit of weight, and then he loses weight. And it was really, really, really fast. He was losing weight. It was because he wasn't getting enough breast milk in. Now, I'm feeling him latching, but the reality is that because of his situation with his tongue, he wasn't latched on good enough to pull out a sufficient amount of milk. So he wasn't sustaining himself. He was barely drinking anything. And I didn't know this until I went to the doctor. So, for those of you who are having a similar problem, what I did was I would pump, and then after I would pump, I would latch him on. I still latched him on as much as I possibly could because I wanted to get him used to it, and I knew that eventually I wanted him to get back on the breast. But I did that because the breast pump will pull the milk from your breast, but nothing will pull milk from your breast as good as your baby, okay? And ultimately, the more you pump, the more you get your baby to latch on, signals your body to make more milk, okay? So that's how I was able to grow my milk supply. I'm not going to give you a very detailed, oh, I ate this, I did this, because you can still achieve good results. It's just all about knowing your body, and the reality is the most important thing when it comes to breast milk is drinking water, staying hydrated, pumping on a schedule every 2 hours, and or getting your baby to latch every 2 hours. You should be pumping or nursing, I would say, between 8 to 10 times a day if possible. It's going to be a little bit less at nighttime because it's when you're sleeping and also your baby is sleeping, and baby's not on a schedule, so the baby may sleep 3 hours at night, may sleep 4 hours, may sleep 2 hours, who knows. But at least in the daytime, you want to get in at least 8 to 10 breast pump sessions or breastfeeding sessions, okay? I think that's pretty much it. My baby actually now, as I said, I'm still nursing him. I can't get him to get off now, and I'm ready now. I'm like, all right, you good? It should be over, right? It's not like that, you know what I mean? So I'm gonna give him a couple more months. Plus, the reality is because my baby is actually very petite. Even at the age that he's at now, he still looks like he's about 6 months old. So I definitely don't want to pull him off too soon. He is eating regular foods. He favors sausage eggs. He eats regular cereal, hot cereals like oatmeal, cream of wheat, malted milk, things of that nature. He pretty much eats everything that I eat. Anything he sees me eating, he'll eat it. However, he doesn't eat a lot of it. You know what I mean? He may have 1 or 2 sausages, and that's it. He may have 2 ounces of those little small 4-ounce or 3.5-ounce jars of baby food. He won't eat all of it. So he's kind of finicky with his eating habits. So because of that, that's one of the main reasons, because I know his fallback is always going to be breast milk. But he won't take it no more from a bottle. And in the beginning, when I was having issues with him, he drank breast milk from a bottle, which is, one more tip. When it comes to purchasing bottles for your baby, that's another thing. You're never going to know what bottle is going to be the right one until you try. I believe I initially started off with the Playtex drop-ins, and I love that bottle. It's actually a really good bottle, and it was efficient for me and actually a time saver, because I can just get those plastic drop-ins and drop it in the bottle, and then when I needed to clean the bottle, the only thing I needed to worry about really was cleaning the actual nipple part, and then I could just switch out the plastic drop-in. So that was actually very efficient, time efficient for me. However, I think I just became a fanatic, so I just started buying all kinds of bottles. But I did some research online, and they had a bottle that was specific for babies who was having a hard time latching. I can't remember the name of it, but I think it was by Medela. I believe it was by Medela. So do your research, moms. Do your research. It could get costly depending on which bottles you go for, but it's for your baby, and ultimately it's what's going to be best for them. You want to make sure that they're getting as much food or nutrients into their system as possible. So, that's my little breastfeeding 101 spin. I just wanted to share that with you guys. Don't give up. I know it can be hard. I know it can be frustrating. I know for some of you, it could even be painful and uncomfortable. But at the end of the day, there is nothing better than breast milk. I know they try to come close with the formula and how they try to make it work with all of these hormones and synthesizing and trying to imitate what's in breast milk, but the reality is that they can't. They can't even come close. You're never going to be able to give your baby something as good as breast milk. So I would say if you're producing milk, if you're physically able to nurse your baby, take the opportunity. It's a great experience for you, and it's also the best for your baby. So that's my spin. My baby's actually laying next to me asleep, so I'm going to close out here, and as always, like, share, subscribe. Be sure to leave me any comments or any questions that you may have below, and I'll get back to them. Stay safe, y'all, and I'll see you later. Peace. Hey, y'all, I'm sorry. So real quick, there's a couple of things that I realized that I forgot to tell you that I felt were equally important, just as everything else that I mentioned. Make sure that when you go to nurse your baby, or even when you're pumping, find yourself a quiet, peaceful place, if possible. I know that's pretty hard to do, especially if you have other kids in there that are running around. But if you have a spouse or a friend or a family member that's older or over there helping you, make sure that you have them help you so that you can find yourself a quiet corner. It definitely makes a difference when you're trying to breastfeed or when you're trying to pump, if you can be in the most peaceful, relaxed state. When I tell you, if you're stressed out, your baby will feel it. It makes it a little bit more difficult for your baby to lax on if they're restless. So just make sure to find yourself a quiet corner where you can get your breastfeeding or your pumping done. There was one more tip, and I just lost it, but it was important. I said, oh my God, I have to tell them. What is it? Oh, when it comes to the pain that you may experience from nursing, there is some engorgement that happens usually right after you have your baby, and then about a week or a week and a half later, it starts to taper off based off of the feeding habits of your baby, and then your breast will start to produce the amount of milk that it feels your baby needs based on the amount of times that you put your baby on your breast to nurse every day. But some things that you can use that I found were helpful for me to help me to relieve the pain, especially when I had sore or cracked nipples. Lansino, which is the name of the company, Lanolin Nipple Cream. Now, for those of you that are pregnant, you can actually start using that a month before you're due to give birth to your baby. It actually helps to kind of toughen up your nipple area, so that way when you start when you start breastfeeding, you'll it'll kind of lessen the discomfort that you may feel, especially if you're first time breastfeeding. It's gonna be something that you've never felt before, and it's definitely gonna shock you. So I recommend Lancino Lanolin breast cream. There are plenty options out there, don't get me wrong, and some are more cost effective than others. But for me, I use Lancino Lanolin nipple cream or nipple paste. It almost kind of looks like Vaseline. It's like a yellowish color, but it's in a purple container. Lactofol, like I said, is very good as a supplement for those of you who are interested into herbal ways to help you increase your breast milk supply, and Soothies, which are nursing pads. That's another thing. Breast pads are going to be your best friend, whether you are nursing or whether you are pumping. Make sure that when you're packing your diaper bag or when you're going to work and you have your purse, to put some extra breast pads in your purse with you. They're going to save you headache and embarrassment of walking around with those big wet stains on the front of your t-shirt, because like I said, it's new, and sometimes that milk letdown, which is a period that happens when your milk is kind of starting to release and flow freely through your breast. Sometimes it happens in the most unexpected times, and you'll end up walking around with wet stains on the front of your shirt and not even realizing it. I know I have, and it ain't the business, trust me. So breast pads, but specifically outside of the breast pads, they also have something called Soothies, which is a type of breast pad that is non-disposable, but it's cold. It's a gel feel to it, but you can put those in the refrigerator or the freezer and then insert them into your bra to help to relieve some of the discomfort if you have like red or sore nipples. Okay, so yeah, I just wanted to share that little tip with you guys real quick, or those few last little tips for you guys. Make sure that you utilize all the help that you can. I'm a single mom, so I didn't get to experience that part of having babies and having a lot of people around to kind of help me and guide me. So I definitely want to help you guys out, those who are single and those who have their spouses or their moms or whoever there to help them out. Take advantage of the help that you have. If you can get someone to watch your other kids while you nurse or while you pump, that's definitely the best option for you. And for those of you who are returning to work, I believe that they have to provide you with a place to go to breast pump. That's separate from your regular 10 or 15-minute break. So be sure to talk to your supervisor or whoever you can at your job if you're planning on returning to work right away and you still want to leave some breast milk for whoever's going to be watching your baby. So as always, black people, or all people, stay cool, y'all. Peace.